Beauty standards change constantly. That's why they make so much makeup. So if you don't like the way you can look, you can paint another person over you and live as that person. I think one of the greatest evidences of changing beauty standards is eyebrows. Eyebrows have evolved faster than any living organism. Eyebrows shed some light on the beauty myth, but I think there's one attribute of beauty that blows it wide open as a construct of a fickle mass media, and that is butts. Now we celebrate butts, right? We live in a grand Kardashian era. But when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, butts were different, right? Butts were flat and square and kind of geometric. It was a very new wave butt time in the 80s. In fact, I was watching a movie not too long ago, a movie made in the 80s about the 1950s Grease. Y'all remember Grease? A lot of butts of that nature. By the way, turns out, not a feminist film. I was watching that movie, pretty sure a dude confesses to rape right at the gate, and they're like, wop bop, a loo bop, a wop it, they don't care. This woman changes everything about herself to get this man to love her, right? In the last scene, she's poured in that black Lycra sausage casing. And I watched this movie when I was 12 years old. And I remember looking at Sandy in that black Lycra and looking at my own quickly developing belly, hips, thighs, butt, thinking, how am I gonna get my body to look like that body? How am I gonna get what Sandy gets? How am I gonna get a gay man to love me, y'all? Don't worry, I figured it out. You just sparkle and be yourself. And it's not like I couldn't wear a black Lycra bodysuit, right? That's kind of the point of Lycra. But in 1995, there were not options that sexy for plus-size women. In fact, there was one plus-size option at my home mall, the Clackamas Town Center, and that was Lane Bryant. Lane Bryant is a store you shop at when you want to look like a substitute teacher. It's gotten better. But back then, it was a lot of business casual, just the name Lane. It's not like a fun girl's name, right? Hey, do you want to go to a party at Lane's house? Lane Bryant? That girl who yelps her favorite teachers? No, I'm good. I don't want to go to that party. It's a lot of cardigan two-sets, a lot of blazers at that time, and that's what I wore to middle school. I looked bizarre. If I missed a day of school, kids would be like, hey, where's Bri? I think she had a job interview. I think she's temping. HR, it was an HR look, very Karen from accounting. It looked very weird. Not only that, but when I go to the mall with my friends, I'd have to leave them at the Abercrombie and Fitch end of the mall and go to the weird end of the mall with like the orthopedic shoes and the summer sausage kiosk. And I was 12. And my body was literally separating me from people. It was isolating. I started to feel different, and I started to want to cover myself up. In fact, I skipped the swimming unit in PE because I didn't want anybody to see me in a swimsuit. I was 12, and I loved swimming. I was great at it, too. I never drowned at all. But it was isolating because I was cursing my body at that time for keeping me away from my friends at the weird end of the mall, from keeping me out of the pool, from keeping me out of the central Danny and Sandy romance that I thought wasn't for me. Left alone with this perceived rejection, I lost weight, I gained weight, I hated myself, I harmed myself. I tried to get very small, right? I tried to suck in my gut all the time until I had cramps. Slowly, through changes felt in the world, through changes I enacted in my own life, things got a lot better. Today, 2017, I wear a bikini to the beach and swim whenever I want. I go to the mall, and I cram this fat backyard into clothes I find at any store I want. I got this shirt at Baby Gap. I think it looks pretty cute. I don't try to get small. I'm a stand-up comedian. I stand front and center on stage, and I tell audiences all over the country that shame is for suckers, that no one in this house should feel ashamed about the size of their body or what their body looks like, just the smells. Everything else, celebrate it. Yes. And whatever beauty standard is leaving you out today, may it be thinness, whiteness, a focus on youth, on able bodies, or binary gender presentation, you too can rid yourself of these ideologies by using my 3-step method. Are you ready for these Oprah-style action items, folks? Okay, step 1, fix your feed, right? Start with the stuff that's under your control. The average person may see thousands of ads every day, images, messages every day via mass media. At least take control of your social media. You see, there's this beautiful word that the internet created. It's melodious, and it will be etched into the scrolls of eternity. It is unfollow, right? Get rid of the language and messages that other you and replace it with the beauty you want to see. My Instagram feed today is only plus-size models, drag queens, and professional basketball players. And it's my favorite place in the world. After curating your social media, you can turn your attention to the messages in your immediate vicinity. I am betting that some of your loved ones uphold beauty standards that other you to your face. But did you know you can tell those people to be quiet? Which brings me to step 2, ask your people to watch your mouths. It sounds scary, but it can be very simple as this. Mom, your beauty standards are not my beauty standards. When you use language that others mean, it makes me feel left out. Since we're friends and or family, I knew you'd be willing to hear me out and try your best. Thanks for listening. See you at brunch. I'll button it up at the end. And that's an example of a very healthy request, but you can be rude. I give you permission. I know, I'm like Oprah, but a villain. Once you've addressed your social media and your well-intentioned haters, you can start cutting body policing and unrealistic beauty standards from your own brain. And look, I'm not a therapist. I can't provide a lot of help, not a professional therapist or even that good of a listener. But I can tell you to start talking differently to yourself, which brings me to step 3. Do stand-up comedy. Hear me out. When I started stand-up comedy, I did the thing that a lot of comedians do when they first start, which is to open with a joke denigrating the way I look, right? But man, I didn't work for all this body piece just to trash talk myself to a bunch of strangers. So then I tried something different. I tried telling jokes that made me feel big and sexy and powerful, and it was great. And the thing about being a stand-up comic is you repeat these jokes over and over again. So every night I was saying these words to myself and holding these words in my mouth, and the message sunk into my bones. It works. Now, on the off chance that you do not want a life of open mics, chicken fingers, and listening to 23-year-olds find themselves, don't do stand-up comedy. But do use the lesson that I learned from stand-up comedy, which is to be impeccable with the words you use when you speak on your body, your shell, the bark of your tree. Because ultimately, when you strip away the Kardashians and the pop culture and the lycra and the business casual, what you're left with is your body, which is a vehicle to your dreams. So let's talk about where you're going. Thank you.